we're finally going to talk about the uses of leash pressure, meaning the uses of the leash after we've finished the leash pressure process. So while the dog goes through the process of learning about the leash, we mentioned before, there's mild amounts of stress. One of the things that we want for our young dogs to do is learn to cope with small amounts of stress. So over the years, they've done some very interesting studies, one of which the US military did, and then has been transferred to other universities. And this is something they call early neurological stimulation. And so puppies in a litter have been subjected to small doses of stress while they're developing. So 2, 3, 5-day-old, 2-week-old puppies are frequently taken out of the litter for very brief periods of time and subjected to small amounts of stress. Put on a frozen towel for a short period of time, 30 seconds, and then put back into the litter. They had a control group, and they had the puppies that went through these small doses of stress. What they noticed was, as those dogs became adults, the dogs that had gone through those small doses of stress as a part of their development were more to stress as adults, meaning they showed less cortisol in their bloodstream under stress, their blood pressure was lower, their heart rate was lower, and the recovery was quicker from stressful experiences. We do a lot of reward-based training. If you do reward-based training well, one of the things that happens is that you shelter your dog from a lot of stressful experiences. And part of life is learning to cope with small amounts of stress. Excessive stress is always bad. Right? It inhibits learning and it can cause long-term damage, but small amounts is important. So one of the things that during that process is I want my dog to learn to cope with stress. Once they're through this process though, the dogs move very well with the leash. They're what we call light on the leash. And I can use the leash both as guidance or as a tool for punishment. Using it as guidance, we use it for a variety of different disciplines. We use it to control position and healing. So for focused healing or competition style healing, we do a lot of rehearsal and we use the leash to manipulate the dog into the correct position and then reward the dog when the dog's in the correct position. And we can use this at very low intensity. We can also use the leash to teach what we call our finish, meaning the dog is coming to heel position. There are a variety of ways of getting your dog to come to heel position. One of those is with the use of a leash, and that's one of the ways that we do it frequently. We can use it to teach our dogs about what we call loose leash walking. So for pet dogs or dogs that are not working in a very controlled manner, we're out for a walk. They're allowed to sniff or get a little bit in front of me or peel off to the side, but they're not supposed to drag us down the street on the leash. So we can, once we've finished the process of introducing leash pressure, we can use the leash then to teach our dogs to walk politely on the leash. We can also use the leash to teach a concept we call contact healing. And contact healing is a way we keep a dog with us when they're focused on something else. So in high arousal activities like protection work, we frequently want the dog to maintain a consistent position next to us, but look at something else in the environment, the decoy, or some other item in the environment. And so we teach the dog to touch our leg lightly with their shoulder while they focus on something else. And we use the leash to teach this.
Another common use of the leash post-leash pressure is in reducing possessiveness in play or refining play habits, where we have dogs that are reluctant to bring a toy back to us or want to possess it, carry it around. We can use the leash to help work through that process. And when I say leash, I mean, generally speaking, long line or flexi lead, because when we're playing with dogs, we can do a little bit of that on a shorter leash, but most of it is done on long lines or flexis.
We also use the leash to finish our recall work, meaning we may layer the long line or a flexi lead over our recalls in preparation for potentially having to correct our dog for failure to recall in the proofing stages of our recall. We can also use the leash post-leash pressure to block our dog from making certain errors in training, meaning I can block the dog from grabbing something else or making a mistake as we go through, for instance, waiting at doors or working on our target work or those sorts of things. I can block my dog from engaging in self-reinforcing activities while I teach them something else.